G'day. This is the second sort of sub-part of the boom video. I was going to do a separate video on the conical couplings, but it didn't work out in time-wise, and so this is sort of a small video to go with the boom video. So this is just about making those couplings, and the reason I'm doing it separately is I think there could be some interest in those, even if not in the boom that they go on in itself. When I talk about these conical couplings, you may be wondering, well, what's the point of them? What are they good for? Well, this is the big application. This is my wall-down drill press, but this is what it's using for engaging the lock on the side of the quill, and so this gives you a 5-degree increment, and along with the stop screw here, that enables you to adjust the depth quite accurately. So this sort of thing is typical. The old-fashioned beach umbrellas used to use them. Anywhere where you want something to lock up at a particular angular position and not move. This is the geometry here. Now, if you can imagine, that bit of the ring there is actually a whole bunch of teeth, 90-degree angle between them. But the trick thing is that these things, the top of the tooth and the bottom of the tooth, have to line up at that same intersection point there. And so for the ring that I'm going to convert, that's a 35mm radius, and you go into the CAD system to do a bit of geometry. From that point to there is 0.76mm, and similarly down there, and so that's what I'm aiming to do. So one of the things I have to do is kick the mill table over 1.2 degrees. From my CAD drawing here, I know that 1.2 degrees over the radius 35mm is 0.76, and so I've got two marks here, 35 apart. I'm going to push my mill table over, and then when I crank this in and out, I should see, if it's the angle is correct, I should see 0.76mm deflection here. You could do this, if you haven't got a universal table, you can do this by moving your dividing head over. So you get the same effect. The difference here is that I've got this dividing head keyed, and I can move my table, and so for me it's actually easier rather than remove the keys and muck around with trying to bolt this down, is just to swing the table round, because that's basically what it's for. This is the final setup. So as I was saying earlier, kick the table over 1.2 degrees, so that's all good. I've got a 3-jaw chuck in here because I found that when I had this in a 4-jaw, I didn't have enough clearance for the dogs on the spindle there. So I've put it in a 3-jaw and put the 3-jaw in a 4-jaw, and this is actually reasonable because it means that I can then swap to my second piece and not have to recenter everything. Other than that, pretty straightforward. I'm indexing through 5 degrees, and so this is having 72 teeth on it. It just means that when these two couplings lock, it's 5-degree increments, which should be fine enough. This is the result with 2 done. It's just as well to make them in pairs, because that way the same setup they should fit, and that fits reasonably well. The inside seam there, probably can't see it too easily, is quite a good one. The outside's a little bit less, can't fit a human hair between it type fit. But I noticed with the first one I did, which I think is this one, there are some flats just on the top of the end here, so I don't think I had the cutter set quite deeply enough. Once I saw that, I set a little bit deeper, and I've got sharp corners on this one, so that's all good. The important thing is though that they mesh, and when that's clamped together, that won't move, but that gives me a 5-degree increment. So if you can imagine, I'll have one side there fixed and the other side can move, and just by screwing a knob I can adjust that and move that up and down. You may be thinking to yourself by now, well, that's really nice, I could do with some of those, but I don't particularly want to machine one every time I want to use one. And the answer is you don't have to. What I've also discovered is if you heat that up with a torch or something like that to a temperature probably a bit over 100 degrees or something like that, just enough to soften the plastic, you can actually push those in and make yourself a copy. This is the completed coupling, bolted onto the various bits and pieces. There's a strap that's got to go in there, and that'll clamp the tube on this one. But here I've gone and hollowed out the solid metal, and I've done the same thing here, just with an end mill, taken that down to around about a 2mm wall thickness. And the reason for that is that I need the rigidity, but the weight I don't need, and strength-wise it's plenty strong enough. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is that with one of these complete, I could actually get away with just a segment of this. I don't need the full ring, but it's something to bear in mind that if you're trying to save even more weight, or you haven't got much room, you could do it that way. So these two are going to go like that. The strap is going to come from there to clamp together. I'll probably put a spring in there just so they pop apart and make it easy to rotate. And you know, that's the conical coupling. So thanks for watching, and return you to your main viewing, I guess.